Hey, English learners, welcome back to the Millie English podcast, your cozy place to learn easy English through real life conversations. I'm Millie, and I'm really happy you're here with me today. Maybe you're walking, cooking, commuting, or just taking a quiet moment for yourself. Wherever you are, I'm glad you pressed play. This episode is around B1 to B2 level, so the English is natural and conversational, something you can really use in daily life. You don't need to understand every single word to learn something. Just grab the parts you understand, borrow the sentences you like, and let the rest pass by. No pressure, no stress. Real conversation first, vocabulary hidden inside. No boring lectures while you're trying to enjoy your day. At the end, we'll do a calm little word tour. We'll pick some useful phrases from the episode, explain them, and help them stay in your mind. If you enjoy learning English like this, you can like this episode and subscribe to the Millie English podcast. It really helps more learners find us. And I'd love to hear from you. After you listen, write one sentence in the comments. Tell me, what's one thing you've always wanted to change but thought it was too late? Okay, so today we're talking about something that's been on my mind lately. The feeling that you've missed your chance, that it's too late to change, too late to learn something new, too late to switch careers, too late to fix a relationship, too late to become who you wanted to be. I think almost everyone feels this way sometimes. I know I do. But here's what I've learned. It's almost never too late. Yes, there are some things you can't undo. Time only moves forward. But change, growth, starting over, those are always possible. So today, I want to talk about why we feel like it's too late, why that feeling is usually wrong, and what we can actually do to change our lives. By the end of this episode, I hope you'll feel a little lighter, a little more hopeful, a little braver. So take a deep breath with me, get comfortable, and let's talk about second chances and new beginnings. Let me share a personal story. About 5 years ago, I was completely stuck. I was working a job I didn't like, living in a routine that felt suffocating. I kept thinking about things I wanted to do: learn guitar, travel more, write a book, start my own business. But every time I thought about making a change, a voice in my head would say, "It's too late. You're too old to start learning guitar now. Other people started businesses in their 20s. You missed your window. You should have traveled when you were younger." And I believed that voice. I stayed stuck. Not because I couldn't change, but because I convinced myself I couldn't. Then one day, I met someone who completely changed my perspective. She was 52 years old and had just started learning Japanese. I asked her, "Wasn't it hard to start at your age?" She laughed and said, "I'll be 52 whether I learn Japanese or not. Might as well learn it." That hit me like a truck. Time passes anyway. The question isn't whether you're too old or too late. The question is, do you want to be 5 years older with new skills or 5 years older with the same regrets? So I made a decision. I stopped waiting for the perfect time. I stopped thinking about what I should have done years ago. I just started. I picked up a guitar, I booked a trip, I wrote the first page of my book. And you know what? It wasn't too late. It never was. I just needed to stop believing that it was. Let's talk about why this feeling is so common. Why do we convince ourselves we've missed our chance? First, we compare ourselves to others. We see people who started young and succeeded. We think, well, I'm not 22 anymore, so I can't do that. But comparison is a trap. Someone else's timeline is not your timeline. Their journey is not your journey. Second, we fear judgment. We imagine people asking, "Why are you starting now? Shouldn't you have done this earlier?" But honestly, most people are too busy with their own lives to judge yours. And the ones who do judge, they're usually jealous or insecure. Third, we've internalized society's messages. There's this idea that you have to achieve certain things by certain ages. Graduate by 22, married by 30, successful by 40. But these are made-up rules. Life doesn't have an instruction manual. You can rewrite your story at any point. Fourth, we're scared of wasting time. What if I try and fail? What if it doesn't work out? Then I'll have wasted months or years. But here's the truth. You waste more time by not trying than by trying and failing. At least failure teaches you something. And fifth, we underestimate our own capacity for change. We think, "I'm too set in my ways. I can't learn new things. I'm not flexible anymore." But neuroplasticity research shows that brains can change at any age. You're more adaptable than you think. Let me share some stories that inspire me. Real people who prove it's never too late. Vera Wang didn't design her first dress until she was 40. Before that, she was a figure skater and a journalist. Now she's one of the most famous fashion designers in the world. Colonel Sanders started KFC when he was 62. He'd failed at multiple businesses before that, but he didn't give up. Julia Child learned to cook in her late 30s and didn't publish her first cookbook until she was 50. She became a culinary legend. Stan Lee created his first hit comic, The Fantastic Four, at age 39. Before that, he was ready to quit the industry. Laura Ingalls Wilder published her first Little House book at 64. She became one of America's most beloved children's authors. And it's not just famous people. I know a woman who went back to university at 45 and became a doctor at 52. I know a man who started running marathons at 60. He's now 70 and has run 15 marathons. I know someone who came out as gay at 55 and finally started living authentically. These stories matter because they remind us life doesn't end at 30 or 40 or 50. Every day is a chance to begin again. So let's get practical. What can you actually change, even if you think it's too late? You can learn new skills. Your brain might learn a bit slower than it did at 20, but it still learns. Language, music, coding, art, all possible. You can change careers. Yes, it might require training or starting at a lower level, but people do it all the time. Your previous experience still has value. You can improve your health. Even if you've neglected your body for years, small changes make a difference. You can get stronger. You can feel better. You can repair relationships. Reach out to someone you've lost touch with. Apologize for old mistakes. Have the conversation you've been avoiding. You can change habits. Stop smoking. Start exercising. Read more. Drink less. Habits are hard to change, but not impossible. You can move to a new place. If you're unhappy where you are, you can move. It might be scary, but it's possible. You can start creating. Write the book. Make the art. Record the music. Create for the joy of it, not for success. What you probably can't change? The past. Decisions you already made. Time you already spent. But you can change how you think about those things. And you can change everything moving forward. That's where your power is. Okay, so you've decided you want to change something. How do you actually begin? Here are 5 steps that work. Step 1. Get clear on what you want, not what you should want, not what others want for you. What do you actually want? Write it down. Be specific. I want to be healthier is vague. I want to walk 30 minutes every day is clear. Step 2. Start ridiculously small. Don't try to change everything at once. Pick one tiny action you can do today. Want to write a book? Write 1 sentence today. Want to learn guitar? Practice for 5 minutes. Small actions build momentum. Momentum builds confidence. Confidence leads to bigger changes. Step 3. Ignore the timeline. Stop worrying about how long it will take. Stop calculating whether you'll achieve your goal by a certain age. Just focus on today. What can you do today? That's all that matters. Step 4. Find your people. Change is hard alone. Find others who are on a similar journey. Join a group. Find a mentor. Get an accountability partner. Community makes everything easier. You'll encourage each other. You'll learn from each other. Step 5. Expect setbacks. You will mess up. You will have bad days. You will want to quit. This is normal. The difference between people who change and people who don't is simple. The ones who change keep going after they mess up. One bad day doesn't erase your progress. Just start again tomorrow. And the next day? And the next? Let me tell you what happened after I stopped believing it was too late. I learned guitar. I'm not amazing, but I can play songs I love. That brings me joy every single day. I traveled to places I'd always dreamed of. Those experiences changed how I see the world and myself. I wrote that book. It's not published yet, but I finished a draft. That's something I never thought I could do. I changed careers. It was scary and uncomfortable, but I'm happier now than I was 5 years ago. And most importantly, I learned that I'm more capable than I believed. That lesson applies to everything in life. None of this happened because I suddenly got younger or because time reversed. It happened because I stopped waiting for the perfect moment. The perfect moment doesn't exist. There's only now. And now is always the right time to start. Let's talk about fear for a minute. Because even when you know it's not too late, fear still shows up. Fear of failure. What if I try and it doesn't work? Here's the thing. Failure is data. It teaches you what doesn't work. Thomas Edison failed 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. He said, "I didn't fail. I found 1,000 ways that didn't work." Fear of judgment. What will people think? Most people won't even notice. They're too busy with their own lives. And the people who judge you harshly? They're usually the ones too scared to try anything themselves. Fear of wasted time. What if I invest time and energy and nothing comes of it? But living with regret wastes more energy than trying. The time will pass anyway. Would you rather spend it trying or wondering? Fear of success. This one is sneaky. Sometimes we're afraid of what happens if we actually succeed. Will we lose ourselves? Will people expect too much? But success doesn't happen overnight. You adapt as you grow. You'll figure it out. The key is to acknowledge the fear but not let it stop you. Feel the fear and do it anyway. I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine yourself 5 years from now. 2 versions of yourself. Version 1. You didn't change anything. You stayed safe. You kept thinking it was too late. How does that version feel? What do they regret? Version 2. You took the risk. You tried. Maybe you succeeded. Maybe you failed, but you tried. How does that version feel? What did they learn? Which version do you want to be? That's the question you need to answer. Because here's the truth. You're going to be 5 years older either way. Time doesn't stop. The only question is what you do with that time. Will you use it to grow? To try? To become who you want to be? Or will you use it to stay stuck, wishing you'd started earlier? The choice is yours, and it's not too late to make the right choice. All right, it's time to slow everything down. We've covered a lot today, and I want some of these phrases to really stay in your English. So let's do a calm word tour together. No stress, just listen. Stuck. Stuck means unable to move forward, trapped in a situation. For example, I felt stuck in my old job. Or don't stay stuck. Take action. Suffocating. Suffocating means feeling like you can't breathe, trapped and restricted. For example, my routine felt suffocating. Or, that relationship was suffocating her. Window. A window here means an opportunity or chance. For example, you missed your window is what people say. Or, there's still a window of opportunity. Hit me like a truck. This phrase means something affected you powerfully and suddenly. For example, her words hit me like a truck. Or, the realization hit me like a truck. Timeline. Timeline means the schedule or pace of events in someone's life. For example, their timeline is not your timeline. Or, everyone has a different timeline. Internalized. Internalized means to accept something as true and make it part of your thinking. For example, we've internalized society's messages. Or, she internalized the criticism. Set in your ways. Set in your ways means having fixed habits that are hard to change. For example, I thought I was too set in my ways. Or, old people aren't always set in their ways. Neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity means the brain's ability to change and adapt. For example, neuroplasticity research shows brains can change at any age. Or, neuroplasticity gives us hope. Culinary. Culinary means related to cooking or kitchens. For example, Julia Child became a culinary legend. Or, he went to culinary school. Living authentically. Living authentically means being true to yourself and your values. For example, he finally started living authentically. Or, living authentically takes courage. Momentum. Momentum means the force that keeps something moving forward. For example, small actions build momentum. Or, once you have momentum, it gets easier. Setbacks. Setbacks are problems or difficulties that delay progress. For example, expect setbacks along the way. Or, everyone faces setbacks. Keep going. There you go. 12 useful phrases from today's episode. You don't need to memorize all of them right now. Even if 2 or 3 stay with you, that's already amazing. So, before we say goodbye, I want to leave you with one thought. It's not too late. Whatever you're thinking about, whatever you've been putting off, it's not too late. You might not have as much time as you wish you did, but you have enough time. You have today. And today is enough to start. So here's your homework. Think about one thing you've been telling yourself it's too late for. Just one thing. Then do the smallest possible action toward it today. Not tomorrow. Today. Write one sentence. Do 5 minutes of research. Make one phone call. Prove to yourself that it's not too late. Then come back here and write one sentence in the comments. Tell me, what did you start today? What did you prove to yourself? I want to celebrate with you. If this episode gave you hope or motivation, please like this video and subscribe to the Millie English podcast. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Thank you for believing that change is possible. You're not too late. You're right on time. Your story isn't over. It's just beginning a new chapter. I'm Millie, and you've been listening to the Millie English podcast. Bye.